onto the latest developments in the ongoing Ben and Jerry's saga. An American judge has today rejected Ben and Jerry's attempt to stop its parent company, Unilever, from allowing its ice cream to be sold in the West Bank, which Ben and Jerry says undermines its values. District Judge Andrew Carter in Manhattan saying Ben and Jerry's did not deserve an injunction to halt ice cream sales and marketing because it did not show it would suffer irreparable harm or that customers would be confused. Ben and Jerry's sued Unilever last month, saying the sale of its Israeli business to local licensee Avi Zinger violated the agreement in which Unilever bought the Burlington, Vermont-based company back in 2000. So for more on the latest developments, we bring in our senior U.S. correspondent, Mike Wagenheim. He joins us from New York. So, Mike, it's a setback for Ben & Jerry's, this American judge rejecting their efforts to stop its parent company from allowing this ice cream to be sold in the West Bank, saying there is no evidence of confusion. But this protracted legal fight may have left some people confused. So talk us through the judge's ruling.
It's not even a matter of allowing Unilever at this point to sell the ice cream because it's not at their ice cream to sell. The license to sell and manufacture the ice cream has already been sold to Avi Zinger, who operates for Israel on behalf of Ben & Jerry's in Israel itself and also in Judea and Samaria, the so-called West Bank. So there's nothing to stop at this point, and that's one of the points that the judge made in this case. It's a done deal already. You can't go back in time and reverse the sale at this point. There's a third party involved. It's no longer just Unilever and Ben & Jerry's, the Burlington-based operation. Secondly, he said you can't prove there's any irreparable harm. There's nobody screaming from the rafters around the world, hey, this is doing me personal harm here because Ben & Jerry's is being sold. There's nothing like that. There's no movement like that happening. And thirdly, the judge also noted that the Ben & Jerry's products that are to be sold in Israel and in Judea and Samaria are going to be labeled not in English, but in Arabic and Hebrew. In Ben & Jerry's, yes, but in Arabic and Hebrew, distinguishing them in another way, to add to the other ways, from the American operation. So when you put it all together, at this point, the judge said there's nothing I can do for you. It's a done deal. Basically, move on. Now, Ben & Jerry's can appeal the ruling. It was only a district court ruling. They can appeal it to the appeals court, the federal appeals court. They can go all the way up to the Supreme Court if they so choose, based on where the Supreme Court is in America at this day and time. I don't suspect they're going to get any sympathy at the highest level.
Any official reaction? I know this is just transpiring from the company about this latest development.
There's been no reaction so far from Ben & Jerry's. They're currently, I would imagine, their lawyers are perusing over the ruling here, trying to put together an appeal. There's been no comment yet from Unilever on the matter either. Meanwhile, we've spoken on air several times with Avi Zinger, now the license holder and the operator of Ben & Jerry's in Israel and in Judea and Samaria. He's moving forward at this point. He said it's full go ahead, no turning back. He's gotten his operations back up full blast after some consternation about whether he'd actually have the license to continue to operate. The whole point behind this is that, Ben & Jerry's originally, when they made the deal with Unilever, they retained control of the social mission, which they said allowed them to dictate where their ice cream would be marketed. Makes sense to a certain extent, although it's a very unique deal. What Unilever is saying is that after losing millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in investments because of the BDS practices that Ben & Jerry's was employing, Unilever said, hey, this is no longer a social issue, it's an economic issue, and that is Unilever, our purview, and therefore we are now selling this property from an economic standpoint. The social stuff, good luck with that, Ben & Jerry's, but you can't make us bankrupt in the process, and I think the judge pretty much agreed with that sentiment.